Hey everyone, this is Amy Hope with Bayou City Outdoors and H Chicks Outdoors, and thank you so much for joining us for Stand-Up Paddleboarding 101. Today I'm going to take you through some of the basics of stand-up paddleboarding and how you can get started. And I also have a video that we pre-recorded on the water so that we can actually show you the things that I'm talking about. So it's not just me talking for today. The first thing that I wanted to go through is talking about some myths that people have, overcoming some myths. So, for example, it's called stand up paddleboarding, but a lot of people don't actually start stand up paddleboarding by standing on the board. So, you do not have to stand up on the board. To get started, it's actually best, and even when you know how to paddleboard and you're getting into the water, it's best if you kneel or sit on the paddleboard, um, and then get away from any hazards that you might see, like the rocks or the shore or really shallow water. Um, and that way, when you try to stand, if you do fall off, you don't have to worry about getting hurt because you're just going to fall into the water. So, and then you're going to go someplace, we'll talk a little bit at the end. You're going to go to someplace that is calm water, flat water, so that you can make sure that you're safe and having a good time when you're stand up paddleboarding. And just to make sure if everybody can hear me, if you can hear me, just go ahead and put in the chat box that you can hear me. I just want to make sure the audio is working since I did just jump in. So, what is your biggest challenge when it comes to starting to paddleboard or do any kind of water sport for that matter? In Houston, it's so hot right now. Being on the water is one of the best ways for you to stay cool in the summer and still get a good workout. So a lot of the challenges that we see people facing is they don't know where to go, or at least go for good water. They don't have people to go with. Maybe you've never done it before. So, if you renting something on your own could be a little bit intimidating. You're not sure what gear to get. The you want to know, sorry, that's my puppy that you might hear in the background. I have the doors open, so he might be seeing other dogs pass by and wants to go play. And then weather is like a big thing, and I'm going to spend some time on weather as well, because anytime you do any kind of water sports, you really want to be paying attention to the weather. So we'll talk about that. Okay, so what is stand-up paddleboarding? It's a fun, easy way to play on the water. Like I said, you don't have to stand on the board. You can still get out there. You can still get a good workout in. You can stay cool. You can be on the water. You can relax. You can make it as big of an exercise as you want, or you can make it as relaxing as you want. I personally, just being on the water is one of my favorite things. And I am just so much happier when I'm on any kind of water. So it's a perfect opportunity to have multiple different experiences, whatever you want to have. So what do you need to start paddleboarding? First, you need a paddleboard, inflatable. You can get an inflatable paddleboard these days for really cheap, relatively cheap, I should say, because they are more expensive now than they were a few years ago. But inflatable paddleboards are very comparable to the hard boards. There are different reasons to get a hard board versus an inflatable. Like if you're going to be on whitewater versus or the ocean, a hard board might be better option than an inflatable. But for the majority of stuff that we're doing around Houston and in Texas, inflatable paddleboards are perfectly fine, more affordable, easier to store, easier to transport than having a hard board. When you have a hard board, you need to either strap it onto a roof rack or have a vehicle that's large enough to put it in. Now, either one, storage, you still have to think about storage. Do not store them in your hot garage that doesn't have any air conditioning. I did that for a while, and the glue will break down on your boards and then you'll need to repair them. So try not to store them in the garage. You can inflate them if your couch is up against the wall. You can inflate the boards, or if you have a hard board, you can potentially store it behind your couch. And then it's inflated, ready to go, and you can't see it. So that's one consideration. I also know people who like store their kayaks and stuff in the shower. That is a little bit more work because every time you want to take a shower, you're going to have to move it, but also an option, like if you want it out of the way. When you're looking at buying or renting paddle boards, look at the length and the width and the height of the board. So 6 inches is a 6-inch height is pretty standard for beginner boards, and they're going to be a lot sturdier than like a 4-inch kind of board. But a 4-inch board is going to be a little bit easier to maneuver and turn. So it kind of just depends on like where you are, what you're starting with. The bigger the board, the more stable you'll more than likely be. And the smaller the board, the more maneuverability you'll have. The materials on top of the board, they're pretty standard now, but make sure that your board has material that's on top that is cooling so it doesn't get too hot. So think about the colors of the board that you're buying. Also, the darker the colors, the hotter it could potentially be. So just keep those things in mind. Handles are super, super important. I think on most of the paddle boards now, most of them have a handle that's in the middle of the board, like the part where you sit or stand. That's going to help you carry the board. How you carry the board is basically you're going to pick it up by the handle, shove it in your armpit, and carry it that way. It's going to be a lot easier to carry it that way. So if you don't have a handle that's in the middle of the board, carrying becomes a lot more difficult, and you're more than likely going to need a second person to help you carry it. A lot of the boards come with D-rings or bungee cords, and you can use that to store put your water bottle on, take a waterproof bag that has your sunscreen, maybe an extra layer of clothes just in case it gets cold or hot and you need to cover up from the sun. Put your sunscreen in there, etc. So a lot of them have at least gear rings, and if it doesn't come with bungee cords, you can get a bungee cord super easy. The last thing as far as the paddleboard part goes is the ankle leash. I personally do not use the ankle leash. So an ankle leash is basically a tether that has usually it's like a Velcro that goes around your ankle, and the other side connects to your board so that if you fall off your board, the board doesn't go too far away because it's attached to you, so it can only go so far. I personally don't like the ankle leashes because if you do fall off, that ankle leash can get tangled onto something that's under the water, like if there's a tree or branches or debris underneath the water and it gets tangled, it could make it very difficult for you to get out of that situation. Okay. So my general rule of thumb is if you have some kind of rope, like an ankle leash or any kind of rope, you need to have a knife on you. So if you're not carrying a knife, you shouldn't have a rope. Now, the ankle leashes, because they do have Velcro, around the ankle, and they also make quick release ankle leashes where if something did get snagged, you can try to separate yourself from it easier. If you do want an ankle leash, please look into those options. But honestly, like if you're paddling on a lake, if you fall off, you just might have to swim a little bit more to get to your paddleboard. I personally don't think it's worth the risk of having it on. But that's going to be completely up to you guys on how you want to handle the ankle leash. Okay. You also need a paddle. The paddles, like any outdoor sport, the lighter the gear, the more expensive the gear. So you can get a very lightweight paddle. It's going to cost you more money. So you don't necessarily need it, especially paddling on the lakes. But sometimes they are nicer to have a lightweight paddle. So you're going to look at the paddle. Most of the paddles now are adjustable so that you can make it the right height for you. The right height is about, you just want a slight bend in your elbow. And you'll see in the video, we'll demonstrate. I think I said add 9 inches in the video, and I think that's a little bit too much. It's probably closer to 6. But when you're watching the video, just look at how the elbow, at the angle of the elbow, and that'll be more accurate. Everybody needs a PFD. You have to have at least a type 3 PFD. It's required by Texas state law. You don't have to wear it, but it has to be on your paddleboard. Any kind of boat, vessel, so your kayaks, all of that, you have to have a PFD on your vessel. And a lot of the places, a lot of the lakes and places that you're going to go paddleboard, they do have people out there monitoring, and you can get a ticket if you do not have it with you. You don't have to wear it, but the best way to make sure that it works for you is to wear it. When you see people drowning in rivers and lakes and doing outdoor activities, a lot of times it's because they didn't have their PFD on them, and something went wrong. So it's a law for a reason. So like I said, you don't have to wear it, but it definitely for sure helps to wear it in case something happens, and we're hopefully nothing will happen. That's why we're doing this, so that you guys know what you need to be able to do. But storms can come out of anywhere, right? And then the water gets rough. So you really need to just be paying attention to your surroundings. The next thing we want to talk about is the clothing that you wear when you go paddleboarding. Personally, I like to be barefoot. You can kind of feel the movement of the paddleboard a lot better when you're barefoot. You have a little bit better grip. You can wear shoes that can get wet if you want to, if you're more comfortable with that. Obviously, like when you start paddleboarding, you're going to have to walk in the water, and not all of the entryways are the best, like bottoms of lakes. Some of them are kind of slimy or rocky or whatnot. So sometimes it's nice to have your shoes on until you get on the board, and then you can either use the bungee cord or some kind of clip to clip your shoes on once you get on it. Wear clothes that can get wet. And this says clothes that will keep you warm. I know it's really hot in the summertime, but you also want clothes that can protect you from the sun. So you want to think about both things. Like once you get wet, you will be colder than if you're not wet. Okay. You want clothes that will dry fast so when you do get wet, so that they're not rubbing on your skin and causing rashes or anything like that. So you're going to get, you can go to Academy and pick up pretty much any Oh, I'm drawing a blank right now. Any kind of Magellan gear is perfectly suitable for the water. Most of it is. But when you read the labels, it'll tell you if it's sun protection, water protection, and whatnot. So wear clothes that can dry quickly. Um, Cotton is going to be really heavy when it gets wet, and it's going to take a long time to dry. But when it's really hot outside, what cotton does is it extracts body heat from you. So when it's hot outside, it could actually help make sure you don't get heat stroke. But in the wintertime, like, I don't know if you guys hike or do anything, and most outdoor sports, people are telling you not to wear cotton because of that reason. When it gets wet, one, it gets uncomfortable. It takes a long time to dry, and it's extracting your body heat. So when it's cold outside, it can become very dangerous because you can get hypothermia. But in warm weather, cotton could actually help bring your body temperature down so you don't get heat stroke. But in general, like for the water, it's going to be really heavy, and it's not going to dry out very well. So you might get more rashes if you're wearing clothing that's not going to get dry off. So you want to look for quick dry clothes. I always wear long sleeves, long pants just for the sun protection, and really lightweight so you're not hot even though you have long sleeves, long pants on. It's very cool. And when you get those wet, then it keeps you cool as well. The buffs, if you know what the buffs are, like the tubular scarf kind of thing, those help keep your neck protected, and they can also like help extract body heat for the extreme hot days that you're outside. They help keep you cool. So make sure you're bringing sun protection and plenty of water. Okay, like you want to apply more sunscreen than you normally would when you're on the water, because the sun is reflecting off of the water. It's going to just make it that much more intense on your skin. I remember I was a raft guide several years ago now, but the very first weekend that I went out, and it had gotten warm outside, I didn't wear my long sleeve shirt, and I got so burnt, my skin actually blistered because that sun is reflecting off the water, and it's just going to be a lot more intense. And that's why I recommend always wearing the long sleeves and the long pants. But if you're not going to do that, at a minimum, like keep reapplying that sunscreen. Get the wide brim hats so that you get some shade over your face and your neck and your shoulders. And then sunglasses are always great. Make sure you get the little the string for your sunglasses, so if you do fall into the water, you don't lose them. They'll just stay around your neck. And polarized sunglasses are a better option, because when the sun is glaring off the water, the polarized sunglasses help you see a lot better. And then water. Bring a lot of water. Have extra water in your car. Like, make sure you have water. Okay. Speaking of water, I just took some for myself. Okay. So how to get started. We had talked a little bit about how you carry your board. You're going to lean it so that the part that you stand on is facing away from your body, and then lean it up against your leg so that the handle's on the outside. Grab the handle and just tuck it into your armpit. You're going to look like a pro. You're going to look like you know what you're doing, and it's going to be a lot easier to carry that paddleboard. Paddle on calm water, especially when you're first starting out, and know where your entry and exit points are. Okay. So when you first go out, basically what you're going to do is once you get on the board, you don't want to go too far away from where you got onto the lake. You want to practice your turning, maneuvering, so that you know that you can get back to exactly where you started from. If the weather changes on you while you're out and it gets really wavy, ripply, or if thunder and lightning come in right away, then you want to make sure you just get out as soon as you can. Just go to the closest place where you can get out of the water. You might be stuck there, if there's no path to like walk around or whatever, and you can just like wait out the storm or do whatever you need. But it's better to just get out of the water than to try to, if something comes up very quickly, than to try to get back to where your car is on the board. You have to kind of make these judgment calls and constantly be looking at the weather. Okay. So look at it before you leave your house. Look at it right when you get on the water. Use the radar. Okay. Use the radar that's on the Weather Channel and let it play for, I think it plays for about 3 hours, and look at the clouds and where the green spots are going, and make sure that at least what it says at the time of getting on, that you're not going to have any issues with that. And then while you're on the water, keep an eye on the sky. You're looking for the clouds getting darker. Is it getting windier? Keep an eye on the wind, and then you'll be fine. You should be fine if you're looking at all of those things. I can't guarantee you anything, but those are the things that you want to look for. Okay, getting on your board, we already talked a little bit about, you're going to start by kneeling. The handle should be about the middle of the board. So if you're going to sit or kneel or stand, make sure that handle is in the middle. And then you're just going to ease away from the shore, get to deeper water. And if you want to try standing, then you can stand once you're in deeper water. Your feet should be parallel, about hip width distance apart, and centered. This says between the rails. I mean, it just means that like that handle should be basically in the middle of your feet. So you're going to make sure that everything is even. Keep your toes pointed and your knees bent. You want to be standing straight up. If you guys do yoga, you kind of just want to flow with the board, okay? Like you don't want a stiff body position. You want a very relaxed body position. And then that's going to help you stay stable on the board. And then always look where you want to go. Okay, so like if you're looking at your feet, you're probably going to fall down because you're not paying attention to how the water is moving and feeling and stuff like that. And then also like if you are someplace where the water splits, like if there's an island, you want to look in the direction that you want to go. That's going to help make sure you steer yourself in that direction. Okay, so for form, this is going to make a lot more sense when we do the video. So I'm not going to read this for you. I'm going to let you watch the video and go from there. And we'll email you guys this presentation so that you can then read it as you go. So I'll let you do that. With that, I'm going to go ahead and play the video. If you cannot hear the video once it starts, please message me in the chat box and then I will work on fixing that. All right.
There. I'm Kelly Howard with Bayou City Outdoors.
And I'm Amy Hope with HTX Outdoors.
And thank you for joining us this evening for Stand Up Paddling. This is Houston Outdoor Live, and every week we're bringing you something different you can do in Houston, Texas. Tonight we're at 288 Lakes, and Amy is going to be demonstrating all about stand-up paddleboarding. So, Amy, would you like to stand or start with some gear? And while Amy's getting her gear, showing what she's got, we've got some people who are going to go out there do a little bit of paddling, and then we'll be showing them how to use their boards. So, Amy, you want to talk about some of your gear you've got on?
Yeah, sure. So today I've got on just some water pants and a water shirt. Just it helps keep you cool in the summer or warmer in the winter. It also has SPF 50 in it, so it helps protect against the sun. I also have a life jacket on. So when you're stand-up paddleboarding, you have to have a life jacket on your vessel. It's a Texas law for pretty much every open source of water. So you have to have it on your vessel. You don't have to wear it as long as it's on your boat, but you might as well wear it if you bring in it, because if you fall off and knock your head, it's nice to have.
That's why you have it.
Yeah, it's nice to have the life jacket on. So I've got the life jacket. I've got water shoes on right now, but I'm going to take those off when I get on the board. And then the paddle.
Okay. And you want to demonstrate? I'll hold this in while you grab that other paddle, and then we can show them. She'll show how long your paddle, or how tall the paddle length should be, and how to fix this paddle to make it work for you. So, Amy, as you can tell, she's reaching just slightly up, but any manufacturer of a paddle out there is going to tell you on their paddle what length you need for your height. This particular paddle has the ability to change the entire shaft length. So Amy will show you how to do that.
There's a little latch here that comes down, and then you just pull the handle up, and you can adjust it until you get that bend in your arm, or there's numbers on the side of it too, so you can add about 9 inches or so to your height, and that would be the number. And then when you get it so it feels right, you just clip it back in, and now you've got the paddle that's the right height.
Now she's set. So first thing that we're going to do now is she's going to show you what the stance is when you're getting on a board. So the first thing she's going to do is she's going to take her shoes off, because you might want to wear your shoes down to the water, but when you're on that board, you want your feet to have contact with the board. And you want to keep your feet relaxed, because your feet are going to be the first things that get tired. So Amy's got relaxed feet. She's also going to keep relaxed knees. You keep them slightly bent. That's going to give you that ability to keep your balance even when things are moving. Then she's got a nice straight line between her head and her hips, still relaxed. If you find yourself getting tight, what you want to do is just smile. When you smile, everything relaxes. So your body relaxes when you're smiling. So give it a big grin, and she's going to be, that's Amy. So that's your stance on the board. Then one thing you want to do is you want to be super careful when you're getting on the board at first, because you might find that you're a little unstable and falling in. So you want to make sure you're away from anything you can hit your head on. So Amy's going to take her board, move it out. She's going to start on her knees, because you're pretty stable on your knees. And she's also going to stand right in the center of her board. So as you can see, one of our paddlers over here to my left, or my right, whatever it is, she's starting on her knees so that she can get a little bit of just some forward momentum, so it's a little easier to get going and standing up. All right, and Amy, can you see Amy now? All right, so Amy is down here. She's going to scoot forward just a little bit so that, so that they can see her. So she's going to start right there, and then she's going to push herself away from the shoreline so she doesn't bash her head if she happens to stand up. So now she's on her knees. She's going to put that paddle in the front of her across the board, so you don't have to worry about the paddle. She's just going to lay it right down, and then she's going to be able to stand up from there and pick the paddle up. See? Easy, perfect stance. So now her feet are parallel. She's got her paddle. She's got her knees slightly bent. She's comfortable and ready to go. First thing she's going to do is, Amy, would you show them how to hold the paddle? See how the paddle has a little bit of a dip away? You've got a shaft, and then the paddle blade comes out. That paddle blade is supposed to kick forward. So she's got her paddle blade kicking forward, and then she's going to just get it warmed up, move our way a little bit. stand-up paddling is a core exercise. It is not arms. You're not going to power yourself through the water. What you're thinking about when you're taking that stroke is you're planting your paddle and you're using your stomach. You're using your core. She's going to take the paddle, and she keeps it almost, the blade stays almost completely in the water. And when she plants that paddle, she has two choices. She can plant it and pull it through the water, or she can plant it and pull herself toward the paddle. That is a stronger stroke. So, see, you're getting some speed up right there. And now we're playing polo. Chicken. We're playing SUP chicken. What's up, chicken? So, Christy, take your paddle. Excuse me for just a second. Take your paddle and lay it across the front of your board. There you go. Now, just slowly go up to your feet as you're comfortable, and then pick up your paddle as you go up to your feet. Keeping her feet. Christy's gonna get up on the board. She's gonna keep her feet, slightly apart, kind of hip width and perpendicular. Perfect. Perfect. Maybe move your feet in together just a smidgen if you can. All right. So back to Amy. Sorry. So Christy was demonstrating falling off for us. You want to do some strokes real quick?
Yeah.
All right, so Amy's going to do a couple of strokes. What she's going to do, she showed you a forward stroke. And so now what she's going to do is she's going to show you how to turn the board. So as she can either sweep out. That sweep out is an easy stroke. Anyone can practice. She can do a half sweep. So if you don't want to do a really big turn, you can do a half sweep, just partially. She can do a rudder, so she's going to bring that paddle back forward. She can just maneuver her board. If you need to maneuver your board even more, let's say you want to turn quicker, you can step toward the back of the board and then do a sweep. You'll get a much quicker turn. All right. There you go. Okay, so right now, I'm going to step out so you guys can see everything that's going on. So, take your paddle. I'm sorry, I don't know your name. BJ, turn your paddle around. There you go. So, yep, and then now you can scoop forward. All right, so out here we have a couple of people who have just paddled, like literally for 15 minutes, and they're already taking off and doing a great job. Amy, do you mind showing them how to fall properly and get back on the board? So what Amy's going to do is what I call a starfish. So if you feel yourself losing your balance, right? What you want to do is you want to spread yourself out across the water, so that in case it's shallow, you're not like diving in on your head or something. So, yep, we can see you. Amy's just afraid to get wet. So she just starfish. So you put your hands and your legs out and land that way. So now what she's going to do is she's going to get back up on the board. She'll take her paddle, put it up there, and it's not always the easiest thing to do, but you can do it. She's just going to, we call this, if that was the starfish we just did, this is the whale. So you just like hop back up. Now she's back on her board, and she can get moving. Anybody have any questions out there?
How do you get straight?
Oh, okay. Amy, can you demonstrate going straight? So the way she's going to go straight is she's actually going to paddle evenly, right? And she may have to compensate because we've got some wind out here today. So she may have to paddle 2 times on one side and 1 time on the other side. But that's going to make you go straight. Another thing that allows you to go straight is a little bit of speed. So a little bit of speed will keep you moving forward. All right. Any other questions out there? Christy, how do you feel? Good. So when you're ready, you just put that paddle down on the front and then keep your feet kind of hip width and come on up to your feet and then just start moving forward. But it's okay, everyone should know this. It's totally okay to stand up paddleboard on your knees until you're totally complete and comfortable on that board, because everyone does it.
What if you need to stop abruptly?
So the question is, what if you need to stop abruptly? And earlier we did have that happen where someone was coming in rather quickly, and instead of stopping abruptly, they just kind of like T-boned the dock. So first thing you want to do is you want to be looking where you're going, paying attention to what you're approaching, realizing that right now we have a tailwind out here. So that tailwind's going to make you move quicker. And then if you need to stop abruptly, you can do one of two things. You can use your paddle with some quick backstrokes on either side. That works. Another thing you can do is you can just kind of drop to your knees and do some quick backstrokes. Either one will work. But mainly, instead of abrupt stops, more than anything, you want to be controlling your board so that when you're coming into something, you're not just slamming into it. These boards are a little bit delicate too, and they're just show them how to paddle.
Can you
Yeah.
J-stroke like in a canoe?
Oh, can you J-stroke like in a canoe? Can you show them? You can, actually. A J-stroke is a stroke you can use. It's a little bit more advanced, okay? But you can definitely J-stroke. In fact, almost any stroke you would use in a kayak or a canoe, you can use on a stand-up paddleboard. Absolutely. So, what other questions? Oh, I know a question that people ask quite frequently is, so what happens, why are my feet so tired? Why are my feet so tired? Why are my calves so tired? And the reason your feet and your calves get tired is that you've got monkey toes, right? You're scared and you're hanging on with your feet. So what you want to do is you want to think about relaxing your feet, wiggle your toes a little bit, keep your knees bent, just like do everything you can to keep your feet relaxed, because I promise you those are going to be the first things that get tired and cramp up.
I mean, you wouldn't do this like in an ocean, would you? You'd only do it in a confined area.
Okay, so another question is, would you do this in an ocean or just a confined area? People do this everywhere. We've done it at the beach quite a few times, and it's it's kind of fun because you get there early. It's pretty flat, so you get the feel of it, and the waves start building, and I promise you, a wave this big feels like a 6-footer, but it's a lot of fun. People even do it in whitewater rivers, but this at 288 Lakes, it's confined. You can't get lost. It's pretty nice out here.
What do you think about the inflatable board?
Oh, another question is, what about inflatable boards? And an inflatable SUP is probably the only time you'll ever hear me say, you know what, this is a great substitute for a regular board. An inflatable SUP is light. They get super rigid, just like a regular stand-up paddle board, and they're super easy to pack and really easy to carry. When you're packing your SUP, if it's an inflatable, what you want to do is you want to make sure that you've got something to dry it off absolutely 100% completely dry before you put it up, because where we live, you're going to get mold if you leave something wet. But inflatable SUPs are awesome. Other questions?
Can you use the same paddles for, like, if you have a kayak and you don't have any other special paddles? Oh,
okay, so the question is, can I use the same paddle for my kayak as I could for my SUP? And no. Your sorry guys, your paddle needs to have some. My SUP paddle has something for me to hold on to, just like a canoe paddle, like that, but like this. The difference is that where a canoe paddle would be probably, I'd be holding right about here, a SUP, it's going to be really long. So, and it's long so that I can get the full blade into the water and get that full scoop of water when I'm using it. Other questions? No? Okay. So, we're going to go out and do a little bit of paddling with everybody out here, and I think we're good. Okay. You go play, and I'm going to tell them to sign off and come join us. Awesome. Okay, so, pardon?
18th also.
Yeah. So if there's no other questions,
Other than 288 Lake,
one
where
other
are
question.
other good spots for us to set close to the city?
Okay, so other than 288 Lakes, the other places you can sup are close to Houston. There's Twin Lakes, which is down in, I think it's Beltway or Highway 6. There's Lake Woodlands Lake. There's Lake Livingston. There's Lake Conroe. I mean, those aren't super close, but they're close enough. Some people sup in Buffalo Bayou. If you're going to sup in Buffalo Bayou, just be really careful to stay away from anything in the water, like a tree limb or something, because same rules apply. You don't want to be, near a strainer on a bayou. But those are the best places. And then, of course, Galveston, and, start early in the morning when it's flat. It's beautiful down there. Or go inland to the other side of Galveston, like the ICW. I'm sorry, Galveston Island Park would be where you'd go. And that brings up a couple more things. One of them is you should know that in about 2 weeks, we're going to be doing a live event about kayaking. It is going to be held at Allen's Landing downtown. So you'll be able to see where you can paddle right in the middle of Houston, Texas. And then also, if you're interested in learning how to kayak or learning how to sup, on June 18th, it's Sunday, June 18th, we're going to be back out here at 288 Lakes. We'll have a ton of boards. We'll have a ton of boats. We'll have a ball, and it'll be all afternoon. You can find that on our websites. And come on out and check it out. We'll be doing lessons that day. So thank you guys so much for joining us live today, and we will see you next week. Next week is Backpacking Live. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye, Amy. See you, Amy. Have fun.
Okay, can you guys hear me again? Sorry the video was a little bit off, but it had such great information that I didn't want to just recreate the wheel with that. So it was in the past, but yeah. All right, so what are strainers? Strainers are anything that's like underwater, or it could be visible as well, that you can get caught in. So most of the time it's after it rains, if there's trash or tree limbs fall into the water. A strainer is something that you can't paddle through, that you'll get stuck in, and they can become really, really dangerous. So anytime you're on water or doing water activities, you want to be, especially if the water is flowing, strainers can be on any body of water, but tend to be more dangerous on like a river or an ocean or something where the water is going to push you and it's harder for you to control where you're going. On flat water, it's a little bit easier for you to just avoid the tree, right? Because you can see it, you paddle in the other direction. Now, with that said, even on lakes, the water can be flowing in one direction because of the wind and whatnot. What we always say, a good rule of thumb is any body of water. Okay, that's not true. When you're on a lake, and you start paddling, it's best to paddle into the wind, okay? Because on lakes, what you're going to do is you're going to start in one spot, you're going to paddle for a while, and then you're going to go back to the same spot that you started. Well, when you paddle into the wind, you're most likely doing the hard work in the beginning. So when you get tired, you don't want to wait until you get tired to turn around. If you don't go into the wind, you can paddle a long distance, and then when you turn around to go back, it can be really difficult. And if you wait until you're like ready to get off the water, you may have waited too long. So we always say paddle into the wind first if it's possible. Now, if you're on a river and you're going to start at one point and get off at a different point, that's completely different. Or like the bayous, Sometimes on the bayous you can paddle upstream depending on the water flow. But if you're planning to get in at one point and out at a different point, that's different. But when you're getting in and out at the same point, then it's best to paddle upstream. Now, this is where weather becomes more important, becomes important again, because that wind can shift. So sometimes you're just paddling into the wind in both directions. It happens. So you just want to make sure that you're turning around before you get tired so that you can make sure you get back to where you need to go. Or you're looking at the side, and if you know you can get out anywhere, and like as long as you can get out of the water, then you can figure everything else out, So that's what you want to be looking for. There are water creatures. Yes, there are water creatures. We've kayaked Armand Bayou, which has lots of alligators. Haven't done a ton of paddleboarding. Haven't paddleboarded Armand Bayou, but for sure, look, in Houston, anytime you're in water, you should expect an alligator. Okay. Like there are just alligators. And as long as you don't mess with it, it shouldn't mess with you. I know people paddleboard in Huntsville State Park. There are alligators in that lake. People swim in the lake, right? Like there's a designated swim area and there are alligators. So, look, alligators are just part of our experience. I always joke that's how we get our excitement. Like some people have, whitewater frills and thrills, and we've got alligators to kind of get our heart pumping. But just leave them alone and you'll more than likely be fine. I mean, they are wild animals, so respect the wildlife. But yeah, anytime you're in any body of water, there's probably an alligator, whether you see it or not, but I wouldn't worry about it too much. All right. Does anyone have any questions? Any other questions you can put in the chat box? Okay. I will send you guys an email with the PowerPoint presentation that we did and also a link to that video. We did it as a Facebook Live, so the quality when you move it to a different platform wasn't great. So I'll send you a link to the Facebook video so that you can watch it again if you want to, and you can see it in better quality. If you have any questions at all that come up, please don't hesitate to email us. You can email us at info@Bayou City Outdoors or info@HCX Outdoors, and we'll get back to you. And then also you can check out the websites. And we don't have any public events right now for stand-up paddleboarding. They're just for members at the moment. But I think we're going to try to put something on the calendar for September. So keep an eye on the calendar, keep an eye on your emails, and we'll put something together for you guys. For inflatable boards, strongly consider getting an electric pump. Electric pumps for sure help with the inflatable boards, yes. But look, a lot of people, once you get on the board, a lot of people aren't doing necessarily like a workout. A lot of it's relaxing. So I just kind of, if you got to manually pump it up, it doesn't take too long, probably about 5 minutes of pumping. I just consider that like my arm workout, because once you're on the board, you should be using your abs and your legs and stuff, a little bit more than your arms. So yeah, either way, but electric pumps for sure help, for sure. Okay, everybody, thank you so much. I hope to see you out there. And yeah, we're looking forward. Next week, I think we're doing hiking 101 next week. So if you guys want to get started hiking, we're going to talk about that next week. So hope to see you guys there. Thanks so much. Bye.